British surgeon. IDF shooting Gaza children like a game. It's almost unthinkable that children could become targets in what appears to be a chilling game, but that's exactly what a British surgeon reports witnessing in Gaza. Dr. Nick Maynard, a medical professional working in the conflict zone, has revealed an alarming pattern in child injuries that suggests deliberate targeting by Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, soldiers. His team has documented unusually consistent gunshot wounds among teenage boys seeking aid at distribution centers, with injury patterns shifting systematically day by day. Here's the disturbing detail that changes everything. On Monday, they might see exclusively abdominal wounds. Tuesday brings a wave of head or neck injuries. Wednesday could display only limb wounds. And on Thursday, multiple cases of testicular gunshots. This isn't random violence. It's as if shooters are rotating body parts like game targets. It feels systematic, like choosing to aim for heads one day and limbs the next, Maynard stated to BBC Radio 4. But here's where it gets controversial. The IDF has issued a firm denial, calling these claims categorically false in their official statement to the BBC. They maintain their troops operate under strict engagement protocols. Yet this medical testimony from the front lines presents tough questions about accountability in conflict zones. Now we turn to you. Do such consistent injury patterns indeed point to deliberate cruelty? Should international investigators examine these allegations immediately? Or do wartime complexities make such assessments unreliable? Share your perspective below. Whether you're outraged, skeptical, or conflicted, your voice matters in this critical discussion. Disturbing trends in Gaza. Targeted attacks on Palestinian youth. Imagine being so desperate for aid that you risk your life, only to be met with violence instead. That's the grim reality for many Palestinians today, as reports surface of Israeli forces shooting teenage boys in the genitals near so-called aid distribution points in the Gaza Strip. These distribution points, meant to offer relief, have instead become a chilling scene of systematic harm. But here's where it gets controversial. International medical professionals working in Gaza are speaking out about a disturbing pattern. According to doctors on the ground, an alarming number of patients, particularly teenage boys, are arriving at hospitals with gunshot wounds in the same area of the body. Most recently, these boys are being shot in the testicles. These harrowing accounts are not just isolated incidents, they reflect a broader, deeply troubling trend. Areas surrounding these aid sites, which are supposedly designed to provide relief, have become zones of deliberate targeting of Palestinians. The situation is further complicated by the fact that these distribution points are run by Israeli forces, raising serious questions about the true intentions behind these operations. And this is the part most people miss. The psychological and physical trauma inflicted on these young boys will have long-lasting effects. Beyond the immediate physical harm, the emotional and social consequences are profound. These acts not only harm individuals, but also the community at large, perpetuating a cycle of violence and fear. But let's ask you this. What do you think about the role of international organizations in this situation? Should they be doing more to investigate and hold accountable those responsible for these acts? And how do you think this situation fits into the broader context of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? We encourage you to share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Teenagers shot by Israeli soldiers. British surgeon in Gaza. Imagine being a parent, sending your young teenage son to collect food for your family, only to have him return with a life-altering injury, or worse, not return at all. This is the harsh reality for many families in Gaza, where innocent teenagers are being shot by Israeli soldiers near aid distribution sites. British gastrointestinal surgeon Nick Maynard, currently working at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, has witnessed this devastating trend firsthand. He's treated multiple young teenage males, some as young as 11, 12, 13, and 14 years old, who have been shot at food distribution sites. The injuries are not limited to one area. These teenagers are being shot in multiple body parts, with a disturbing pattern emerging. One day, it's the abdomen, another day, it's the head or neck. On one particularly horrific Saturday, 4 young teenage males arrived at the hospital, all shot in the testicles. The evidence is overwhelming, and Maynard is adamant that these shootings are not coincidental. He's heard the same story from all his patients, their families, and medical colleagues in Gaza. Israeli soldiers or remote-controlled drones are responsible for these heinous acts. The surgeon recalls a particularly heartbreaking case where a 12-year-old boy died on the operating table from a bullet wound to the aorta, inflicted by an Israeli soldier at a food distribution point. But here's where it gets even more disturbing. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation claims that reports of deaths near aid sites are false, accusing media outlets of serving as mouthpieces for Hamas. Maynard vehemently disagrees, stating that the evidence he's seen and heard from victims and their families is irrefutable. The situation in Gaza is further complicated by the rampant malnutrition affecting both children and adults. Maynard describes the malnutrition as terrible, with many adult patients arriving at the hospital in a severely malnourished state, impairing their ability to heal from injuries. The lack of nutritional support in hospitals exacerbates the issue, and the situation is dire in pediatric and neonatal care units. In recent weeks, premature babies have died due to malnutrition, as their mothers were too malnourished to breastfeed and formula feed was denied. The question remains, how can we